The January transfer window is only a couple of days away. The most anticipated January window I have seen in a long, long time. Manchester City have got their first win in God knows how long and are free falling down the table by their expectations. They need players. Liverpool, in my opinion, will strengthen while on top. Chelsea, their ownership always go out and spend money, whether that's on players who have got a higher selling value or actually going to give Maresca a few more tools to do the job. And then that leaves Arsenal. And Bukayo Saka is reportedly set to be out between 8 to 15 weeks. It could be March, it could be April, but they need a replacement. And a lot of people still think they need a striker. Kolo Muani, Mohammed Kudus, Viktor Gyökeres, Alexander Isak. Those are 4 players still being heavily linked to Arsenal. Cunha as well from Wolves. We'll get on to Liverpool, Chelsea and City another day, but Arsenal are in a very interesting situation in the Premier League as it stands. They are on the same amount of games played as Liverpool. They're on 36 points and Liverpool are on 45. They need firepower. They need more creativity. They need something else. You know, Liverpool have scored 10 more goals than them in the same amount of games played and only conceded 1 more. But that goal difference, when it comes down to the latter stage of a title race, can be so important. We've seen Premier League titles won on goal difference. Man City did it over Man United. Now, Chelsea have scored more. Spurs have scored more. And Liverpool have scored more than Arsenal. And with Bukayo Saka being out, you know, narrowly beating Ipswich 1-0, they need someone to come in. There's a lot of links out there to Kolo Muani today. We'll jump straight into that, and then we'll get to Viktor Gyökeres, and then we'll get to Mohammed Kudus. Make sure you go down and drop a like if you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. And make sure you do hit that subscribe button. We are steamrolling our way towards 40,000 subscribers. We just hit 35K only a day ago, and now we're nearly at 35,500. And 87% of everyone who watches this channel is not subscribed. So go down and hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Let me know your thoughts on the stories, the transfer rumors, and Arsenal in general. We'll start with the report on Kolo Muani. This is an interesting one because Kolo Muani is I was going to say a proven goal scorer, but this season for PSG, 2 goals in 10 games, not really banging them in, you know, in terms of his form currently. But his form at Frankfurt before that is worth looking at. Arsenal have been offered a chance to sign Paris Saint-Germain forward Randall Kolo Muani on loan in January, according to Court Offside. The France international has been linked with a move to Liverpool, with the outlet also reporting that he's being closely watched by West Ham, Newcastle and Manchester United. Juventus and Napoli are said to be in the hunt for his signature as well. Now, Kolo Muani is a player that definitely is interested by a lot of clubs. He's 26 years of age. His record throughout his career in terms of his goal contributions, definitely his best time throughout his career was when he was in Germany for Frankfurt. He's played in France for FC Nantes. He's played in France for PSG. And, of course, he's played in Germany. 246 games across his career, 76 goals and 49 assists. That Frankfurt season was definitely his best. 50 games in all comps, 26 goals and 17 assists. Hasn't really been the signing that PSG anticipated. 11 goals and 7 assists. There's a report out there that he's available for around £80 million or 80 million euros. Other reports saying he could be available as cheap as 50 million. Now, when you look at his current market value, according to transfermarket.co.uk, he's valued at 30 million euros. His contract expires June 30th, 2028. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, but his main position, as you can see, is a centre forward. Of course, everyone remembers that miss against Martinez back in the World Cup final a couple of years ago. I think in the right system, in the right league, he definitely could be effective. I think it probably would take him some time to adapt to Arsenal's style of football, and definitely take him some time to adapt to, the Premier League. One player who will not need to adapt is Mohammed Kudus. This player is heavily linked with Arsenal and Liverpool. I think the way that Arsenal play, he would be a very, very good signing. Not to the level of, I think, Cunha would be, but Kudus, for me, is a top player. Can play on the right, can play on the left. Definitely is worth signing as a Saka replacement while he's out injured, and of course, giving him more game time. His stats in a West Ham shirt: 61 games played, 17 goals and 8 assists. And of course, was at Ajax before that. He's a player that can go both on the left, on the right, can take players on comfortably, has got a great first touch, has got raw pace, really kind of ticks all the boxes that West Ham need, but Arsenal also need those as well. And of course, they're a bigger club that can offer Champions League football. As you can see, contract expires June 30th, 2028. Prominent position as a right winger, can play in the 10, but of course they won't need to when they've got Wanyeri and Odegaard. But could definitely be a threat. Now, he's market value is 50 million euros according to Transfer Market. He is not going to be sold for anything less than 70 million, especially in January. He is going to be absolutely an extortionate signing. Now, David Ornstein has come out in the last couple of weeks and says, I think it was after the Saka injury, it was either him or Romano, I think it was Ornstein, come out and said that he expects Arsenal to be busy in the market. Now, a lot of these players are linked to Arsenal, is in anything between kind of 60 to 80 million pounds. Now, one player that Arsenal have been keeping tabs on, and we know his quality, we know his goal scoring form. It is, of course, Viktor Gyökeres. Now, since Ruben Amorim has left, Sporting have struggled a little bit. They've lost a couple of games in the league. They got battered by Arsenal 5-1. They lost to Club Brugge in the Champions League. And that league table, where they were 5 or 6 points clear at one point, is now very, very close in Liga Portugal. Could we see potentially Viktor Gyökeres leave mid-season? I do think that is maybe unrealistic, but this is where Arsenal, the Cronkies, have got to go out there and give Arteta something now. Losing a player like Bukayo Saka for so many weeks, so many games, you got to think he's going to miss a North London derby. He's going to miss the cup final if they get there, if they get past Newcastle. He's going to miss big matches against Manchester United, Spurs, Villa, City. He's going to miss Chelsea, Man United away. They need someone else to come in. I don't think at this moment in time you can rely on Leandro Trossard and Martinelli as being your predominant wide players, because Jesus and Havertz are predominantly a striker. Raheem Sterling is also out for about 3 to 4 weeks. They need to spend big this window. If Arsenal, you look at their next, if you look at their next 8 games, it's a very, very tough run. You've got Brentford away in there. You've got Brighton away in there. You've got Newcastle in the cup. You've got Manchester United, Villa, Spurs. Wolves have picked up some form now as well. This is a tough run of games. However, January the 1st, if they hypothetically went out there and spent 70, 80 million pounds on a Kudus, or broke the bank for a Viktor Gyökeres, or even brought in a Kolo Muani, they need someone else. I don't think Kolo Muani should be high on the radar for Arsenal because of when he got his big move to PSG, it didn't really work out. That's not necessarily to say that it won't work out anywhere else. I just think the position Arsenal are in, they need a certainty in that player. You look at someone like Mohammed Kudus or Cunha, both could come in and immediately, let's say hypothetically, Arsenal got a good result against Brentford before the Brighton game is played. Cunha or Mohammed Kudus has been registered. The boost in morale would go massive through that Arsenal fan base and that squad. The difficulty is, it is January. You know, I'm going to be brutally honest. The January window is hard to get good players in, unless you are prepared to spend £70 million like Liverpool did with Van Dijk, or Chelsea did with spending 50 million on Torres all those years ago. You're sitting here right now. Do Wolves want to sell their best player mid-season? Do West Ham want to sell one of their best forwards mid-season? You would hope, looking at the way Arsenal and Liverpool transfer strategies are and their transfer policies, that they would have already identified 2 or 3 targets that they want to sign this window. Now, looking at this right now, I think if Arsenal don't sign a player, I don't think they will win the Premier League. I think Liverpool would run away with it. If Arsenal brought in a Cunha and an attacking midfielder, then I think it's not done. If Arsenal go out there and sign a Viktor Gyökeres, that will give them huge morale boost. Liverpool have dropped points recently. They drew to Fulham. They drew to Newcastle. But Arsenal haven't followed it up with wins. They also drew to Fulham. They also drew at home to Everton. And this Premier League title race is going to go right the way to the end. Looking at this, what they need the most, Viktor Gyökeres should be the priority. But Cunha and Kudus should not go unnoticed about how big of an effect they could have mid-season for Arsenal. You think if they brought in Cunha, he is an absolute player, man. I said this the other day in my transfer video on both Arsenal and Liverpool. He would be so good for what Arsenal need. Can play direct, can play through the middle, can play as a second striker, can play out wide. Already got 13, 14 goal contributions this season, and has scored something like, or contributed to like 44% of Wolves' goals down there. They've scored 31 goals in the league, which is a lot for a team down in 19th. You know, they've only scored 4 goals less than Arsenal. You know, to put that into perspective, the only team in the top, in the top 15 teams, top 5, the only one that scored more is Manchester City. They've scored more than Newcastle, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, Brighton. Brentford have scored more as well as far as Spurs, but you get my point. He's so big of a part for Wolves, and I think he would be such a good signing for Arsenal or Liverpool. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you have hit that subscribe button. The transfer window is going to be massive, absolutely massive for Arsenal and Liverpool. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. I'm out.